So 3 months ago, I told you that I couldn't recommend this phone to everyone. And that was after 1 month of use. And that was a bold statement for a phone that was priced at 3,199 ringgit. So the question is, have 3 months changed my mind and will it change yours? Well, yes and no. So watch first and buy smart. Now before we dive in, if you have not watched my 1 month review of the POCO F8 Ultra, do check it out at the card above. Because now I'm not going to repeat everything I said over there, but it's going to be purely based on my 3 months of use, what held up and what did not, and whether or not this phone has earned its price tag over time. Now let's start with the design and build quality, because this is one of the biggest surprises for me over the 3 months. Now I was expecting the denim blue to start collecting dirt, grime, and you know how some phones just look terrible when it comes to this kind of a unique finish, where there was even a comment in our previous video about how this did not age very well. Well, after 3 months of daily handling, guess what? It did not happen, because 3 months in, this phone still looks very clean. The denim blue held up very well and still looks great, and the grippy feel that I talked about in my 1 month review still feels very nice and is still very comfortable. Definitely one of the best feeling phones to hold daily, and I'm still very appreciative of the fact that it doesn't wobble when you type it on a surface, which does sound like a small thing until you realize how many phones get this wrong. So 3 months later, I still really appreciate this. Now display wise, it is still as good as it was on day one, flat, clean and sharp. However, quality wise, I still feel like the previous F series did look a little better, but it is one of the best flat screen experiences on a smartphone right now. And my other gripe from before about the outdoor brightness, yeah, that is still the same, because it can feel a little dimmer than what I want it to be sometimes. But of course, you can manually bump it up when you need to. So yeah, nothing has changed when it comes to the display, and nothing has gotten worse either. But when it comes to the screen protector situation, in my 1 month review, I mentioned that the stock screen protector was getting a lot of scratches very easily, and it was emotionally painful every time I saw it. And when I eventually removed it, here's the good news, because there's no micro scratches, no marks, nothing. So the 3 months of using this daily without the screen protector was totally fine. So if you just bought this phone and you find that the screen protector that comes inside of the phone feels a little dull or maybe gets a lot of scratches very easily, you can safely remove it, because yes, the POCO Shield glass is not only tough but also resists scratches as well. Next, let me talk about the battery, because I need to be real with you. You know that heart attack situation from my 1 month review where I mentioned about the 2% to 10% battery draining away super fast? It's like watching my hopes of Liverpool winning any trophies under Arne Slot. Yeah, gone. Just gone. So yeah, that particular problem is still there. And despite all the software updates that have come through over 3 months, the battery life did not improve, but it doesn't mean that it was bad, because you can still get close to 6.5 hours of screen on time with heavy use, which was fine for a phone within this price range. But the way it starts draining at the top end is still giving me a little mini panic every single time. But here's something that have changed on what I felt about the phone 1 month ago and 3 months in, which is the fact that this has 50 watts of wireless charging, as this has been my primary way of charging the phone, which was fast, convenient and so much satisfying to use than plugging in a cable every single night. Oh, and my initial complaint about the drop from 120 watts to 100 watts wire charging on this particular phone, well, 3 months in, I barely think about it anymore, because when your wireless charging is that fast, you stop caring and thinking about the cable. So I'm going to keep this camera portion tight and very short, because my full camera breakdown is in my 1 month review. But here's what 3 months have taught me. First of all, I still feel that 18mm on an ultra wide lens is just too tight for my liking. Tight, yeah! Because I still feel that calling it an ultra-wide lens is a stretch. But the quality is still great. The main camera also still holds up well all the way till 10 times zoom. Beyond that is still not recommended, same as before, and that has not changed. But here's something that actually improved. Remember the color shift that I talked about when switching between different focal length? That is gone now, because the software update has probably fixed it. So moving between zoom levels now feels a bit more consistent and real. So that is a huge improvement worth talking about. Then portrait mode for humans is still excellent across all focal lengths. For objects, while the edge detection has improved, but the color accuracy was not as great, as it overexposed the red flower a lot. Then macro mode is the same story, where the minimum focus distance issue is still there, where for the life of of me, I do not understand how a macro mode can be this far for you to only get the focus. So as you can see over here, from focusing on a coffee bean to the Sonos speakers and even on a coaster, had me taking almost a minute to get it in focus. So I do not understand what kind of macro mode distance this is. It is surely a hardware problem because I don't think any software updates could fix this. So if you really love macro photography, this phone is not for you. But when it comes to selfies though, it is still really good. So no complaints over here. Now the phone does record up to 8K, which I have not used it once ever since I started using the phone, because 4K is more than enough for you and for me, and the quality was great, where it also had great stabilization during the day, and the selfie video's dynamic range was not the best, but the stabilization was decent. Then when it comes to nighttime photography, from the ultra wide all the way to the 10 times zoom is still solid. So you'll be set if you stick to those focal lengths, because if you go beyond 10 times, like the 30 times, 60 times, or even the max 100 times, it won't look good at all. Then the night portrait mode for humans is still decent, not the best when it comes to objects at night. Then the nighttime selfie photos were still okay as long there is light towards you. But the video recording at night though, that was the horrible and good. First and foremost, when it comes to the not so good or horrible, was the ultra wide video quality, where not only the quality was not good, but the stabilization wasn't good either. Then the front camera was totally horrendous. Especially if there's light behind you, where the noise level was so prominent over here. Then the good thing about the video recording at night was the 4K video quality on the main lens, even so for the 2 times and even the 5 times mode, minus the lens flare of course. Now the main lens stabilization at night was also good, and if you have light on your face, the quality does improve when it comes to the stabilization for the front video quality as well. Now if you're finding this video useful and helpful so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell the people running the YouTube algorithm that this video was good for you, and a subscription will be extra sweet too, so thank you, and thank you very much in advance. Now gaming is still exactly as good as it was on day one. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 handles everything that you throw at it: Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, and even COD Mobile, all running great at the same settings as before. And I have to say that based on some of the reviews online, there was no drop in performance or even overheating when I was using the phone every single day. So if gaming is your primary use case for this phone, this is it. Then as for speakers, especially for the unique Bose subwoofer, well, 3 months in, and it is still the best thing about this particular phone. Full stop. Now that combo of the bass subwoofer at the back paired with the stereo speakers is still one of the best audio experience that you can get on any smartphone at this particular price. Now in my 1 month review, I did a comparison between this and the iPhone and even the Samsung Galaxy flagship as well. And this was still a clear winner. And it's still my go-to for music and videos as well. And yes, still calming my son down during his diaper changes. Some things never changed. So if you want the closest thing to a Bluetooth speaker on a smartphone, nothing at this particular price point, even if you spend more, comes close to the POCO F8 Ultra. So HyperOS 3 is still HyperOS 3, right? It's decent, it's smooth enough, and it gets the job done. But 3 months in, I started feeling a little more that POCO and Xiaomi needs to take a serious look at what other brands are doing with their software, because softwares like Vivo's Origin OS 6, Nothing OS, and Samsung's One UI, those brands are pushing their software experience forward in ways that it actually adds value to your daily use. And HyperOS still feels like it is playing catch up. It is not bad lah, but you know, for a phone within this particular price point, competing against the flagships or even any other smartphone, especially for an Android smartphone, this software needs to match the hardware ambition. And among all, the Hyper Island is still the best software feature on the phone, but beyond that, there is room to grow. Now, Xiaomi has promised 4 years of OS updates and 6 years of security patches on the phone, so there is time to improve, but the question is that will they use the time very well? Now, if you want a written recap of this video, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to the website will be down below, where we also have some daily tech news and daily tech tips over there too. So, 3 months in, here is my honest verdict. In my 1 month review, I said that I could not recommend this phone to everyone, but 3 months later, my opinion has improved. Because not only the phone almost became perfect, but I understood it better. Because this phone rewards you if you use it the right way. Because the speakers are still class leading at this price. The build quality has held up better than anyone has expected. The wireless charging has changed how I interact the phone daily, and the cameras are still great, although it has its limits. And it's great to see that the color consistent fix from the software update was real and worth appreciating as well. But the battery heart attack situation is still there. The macro mode is still a hardware limitation. Then the software, as I mentioned, has still room to grow. And of course, if you need a consistent camera beyond 10 times mode, if you are a paparazzi, you have to look elsewhere. But the question is that who is this phone after 3 months? Well, if you love great audio, if you game a lot, and if you want a flagship level performance without a flagship pricing. Now, speaking of cameras, if you want to know what cameras have still improved me a lot, and yes, it's a flagship phone, check out my in-depth camera review of the Vivo X300 Ultra right here.